Well, what is going on, gang? Welcome back to A Therapeutic Edge. It's very nice to have you here today. I've got something on the table that just makes me smile. This is a Terzuola design. This is the, what is it, the ATCF, or OG, the original Gangster. These dropped last year, or earlier this year, I should say. I love Terzuola designs. I really do. And this one is just fantastic. This is a Fox Knives build. It's in Elmax. This is number 137 of 350. So Bob is sort of the original tactical, I don't like that word, but knife designer guy. His designs have been around a long time. He's got a very specific aesthetic. Many years ago, over on Mass Drop, they sold this, which is a spectacular smaller pocket knife. You can see the design lineage. MKM has their version, right? Another Italian-made knife. That's this, right? You can also see that both of these are relatively small. However, not that long ago, I picked up this. This is the Eagle Rock. This is the CKF Terzuola design. And this thing is an absolute monster. And that's interesting because it's almost a little too big. And, okay, look, I love big knives. That hasn't changed. But this is an absolute brick in the pocket, right? It's gorgeous, but it's really big. So my options for carrying a Bob design were too small or too big. If I'm wearing like heavy jeans, this is fine. But if I'm wearing like work pants, forget it. This thing just drags them down. So I was poking around on Arizona Custom Knives, which is a used knife website. And I stumbled across this. Now I had seen this design in other places, all titanium or in like micarta or G10, but I hadn't seen one in carbon fiber. So I went around and poked around online and discovered that, yep, they made a batch of these. The folks at Fox Knives made a batch of these. For some reason, there were 4 or 5 of them over on Arizona Custom Knives. So I ordered one. And it has just become a favorite carry. Now, his knives are not, how can I say this? Bob has a very specific aesthetic in mind when he designs knives, and they are designed to be pokey. That's just kind of his thing. This long, lean blade is persistent across his design language. And so you either like it or you don't. And I do. I mean, obviously. So I was really happy to bring this home. The original Gangster here and the Eagle Rock are very, fit the Eagle Rock on the, they're very similar, right? Actually, I think that the original Gangster may have slightly thicker blade stock. This thing's amazing, but you absolutely pay for the privilege. Now, this was about $300, a little more. You can get them in micarta, down around $260, which I'll put a link in the description for Tools for Gents, which is where I found them most recently. It's a similar knife. It doesn't have the carbon fiber. Like I said, it's micarta, but you can go poke around if you want one on your own. It's got a little bit of billboarding. I can talk. That's his logo right there. Yeah, so let's take a look at what you get. It's a liner lock, as you can see. We are locked up at about 25%. It's got a lovely backspacer with a spot for lanyards if you do lanyard. I don't, but you might. Bob is a big fan of the thumb disc deployment. I'm not, but this also has a really nice sort of low profile flipper tab that works really well. It's comfortable, right? You'll notice that one of the aesthetic pieces of his design is that his knives tend to be a little handle heavy. And that is, well, he does, like I said, he likes his knives to look pokey, right? These are the ACTF, the TF stands for tactical folder. It always does. So know that. If you're getting a Terzuola design, you know, it's not going to have a big, it's not going to have a big sweeping belly. It's going to be a little pokier at the front end. He likes to design knives that are about fast deployment for emergencies. Do I care? No, not really. I just happen to like his design language. Look at the carbon fiber on this thing. It's just beautiful. The other thing about Bob that you may or may not like is that he is absolutely attached to non-deep carry pocket clips. And if you guys have watched my channel at all, you know that I prefer deep carry clips. I put them literally on everything that I own if I can. You can't do that with his stuff. At least I haven't found anybody who makes them yet. This is also not lefty friendly, which I think was a miss on their part. It's just an extra hole with a little bit of a cutout for the clip. You could have done that on both sides. But hey, there we are. Beyond that, it is, as I said, it's an Elmax blade, all carbon fiber with a single side steel liner. This side is just carbon fiber. It is running on bearings. Pocket clip is titanium, not milled though, it's just a bent piece. That sort of squared off handle design is very comfortable though. And because the flipper tab shape is just a flat landing spot, which by the way is really good for keeping your hand from going forward if you jab into something, but also you can come forward if you're thoughtful, right? It's got a nice flat across the top here. You can come forward if you're going to shave something, which I've done actually with this. Let's take a look at what you get. The original Gangster gives you 3.5 inches of cutting on just a little over 3.5 inches of Elmax blade steel. I've seen these in Magna Cut as well in different patterns. The grip area from behind that really, we'll talk about that in a second. We were talking about 4, well, if we go to there, we're talking about 4 1/16, so lots of room, right? The one thing about Bob's designs, that Terzuola design, that you should be aware of, and this is important, is that because he really likes this, you see, the blade always tends to start fairly far away from the grip space, right? That is why a lot of knives, I have one with a good choil, yeah. That's why a lot of knives give you this spot up here to come forward to work close to the blade. But because Terzuola is not thinking about things in terms of, outdoors knife, this is not a field knife. It can be used that way, but it just isn't specifically built for it. It's just something to keep in mind. Action's pretty darn good. All right, where were we? Tip to tail, you were coming in at a little over 8.5 inches. Nice full-size knife. Because of his lean design aesthetic, the closed profile, and there is that flipper, but it's soft, right? At its widest point, you're looking at just shy of 1.5 inches, and that's up here at the very top. So when this is in your pocket, you got a fair amount of knife sticking up, but because of that, it's not that long, right? So it's not all the way down to the base of the pocket, but you're going to want to keep that in mind if you got something else in your pocket. Let's do some size comparisons with tools you may be a little more familiar with. How about, we'll start with a 940. Now the 940, very similar, right? Lean, narrow blade, right? Lots of handle. This is a really nice 940. I picked this up a while back. Anyway, what else do we have? How about another Benchmade? How about a full-size Griptilian? I do love that sheep's foot. As you can see, This particular Terzuola is bigger. And we'll do the Spyderco's. Here it is against the Para 3. And the PM2. The original Gangster is a little bit longer than the PM2, but not much. If you carry one of these, this is going to fit in your pocket just fine. It's a little thicker through the handle than a PM2, but not by much. Anyway, I just think this thing is cool. And it makes me happy to have... So the other thing about Bob Terzuola is if you've ever caught him on an interview or out there in the wild talking about his knives, he's also just a really nice guy. For those of you that have been in the knife community for a long time, you know that's not always the case with knife designers. There are some that design amazing tools who are in fact also just tools. Look, nobody has to be nice. That's not the rules, but Bob is. He loves to talk about his art. He loves to talk about his experience in knife making. He loves to share his ideas behind his designs. And that's cool, right? I just think it's cool. Let's weigh it out and see what we land with, shall we? The ATCF is 135 grams or 4.8 ounces, which it's a little over that ounce per inch that the ultralights carry, but not by much. This is a surprisingly ergonomic knife. It is good to carry, easy to use. It is comfortable in hand. The interesting thing is, it is such a the design is such a basic pocket knife design, right? It's not, you know, Spyderco kind of wild. It's not, what do I have? Oh, yeah. You know, it's not crazy stuff. And yet people don't always like it. And part of that is because he adheres to this really consistent design aesthetic where if you don't like it, you're not going to like it. And that's okay. I do, as you can see. In fact, where'd they go? These get a lot of pocket time. You guys, I put it down, and I have no idea where it went. How did I do that? Well, anyway. Oh, there it is. I'm losing my mind. This is still available, this MKM. I haven't reviewed this yet. I will do that later. Versions of this are still available. This is not. This is that old mass drop that just came and went, but that's a shame because this is a great little knife. The Eagle Rock tends to come and go. The most recent edition that they had red carbon fiber, and I didn't love it, but if you're interested, these are out there every once in a while. They tend to make them periodically. Also know these are very expensive. This one less so. Between $260 and about $350 depending on what you get. And it's a great knife. So that's where we're going to wrap it up. This is the Bob Terzuola, the ATCF. Did I get that right? I'm so bad with that. Yeah, ATCF, but it goes by Original Gangster. And I'll put a link in the description to where you might find one for yourself. If you are, again, looking for a comfortable, cool design from one of the godfathers of pocket knife design, this is a pretty good way to get into it. I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about this or any of my knives, feel free to ask down in the comments below. Otherwise, remember, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. We'll see you next time.